Good morning, winners, and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons. I apologize if you guys hear any annoying noises behind me. My neighbor's having a tree removed, and they were supposed to be done by now, but apparently they're not. So, I've talked a lot in the past couple times about a lot of animes and things that I really enjoy, and I actually want to talk about something that's a little bit more... I know I've done some meta stuff and some tropes, or some meta things, so I want to talk about another trope in anime because it's one of my favorite things to study when I watch animes or see what they have, read a book, play a video game, or watch a movie, anything like that. Tropes I just really enjoy them. So since there are a lot of tropes in animes, such as covering the super meta, as animes tend to do that from time to time, or I think I've also talked about, there are a few other ones in there. There's a lot of tropes. I'll probably be covering them all by the time I run out of ideas for this show. So what I want to talk about today is the idea of a natural talent. Is that better or worse than having to work hard and actually practice to be good at something? So this is seen in a lot of animes, and the ones that really come to mind for me are both Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and Trigun. Trigun is not so much, but it's still there more than it's not. And so now when I talk about being naturally talented versus having to work harder with it, a lot of animes have an idea where they have a character that's normally a rival to the main character, and he is born with an innate ability at whatever it is they're doing. So in Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta was the prince of all Saiyans. It was in his bloodline and in his lineage to be extremely powerful. However, Kakarot, or Goku, was born as a very, very weak, low-level Saiyan, and has to work, when he gets to Earth, he has to work extremely hard for any of his power and his abilities. And as the show progresses, because he's able to work so hard, he gets stronger and is always stronger than Vegeta. And that can be seen, he hits Super Saiyan level 3, and Vegeta never hits that. Even though they both hit Super Saiyan 4, Vegeta just doesn't have the abilities that Goku does. He actually has to have his wife help him out. And it's a really cool concept to me to think about that. Somebody who has to practice and work extremely hard at whatever it is they do, train harder and think outside the box, rather than just be like, oh, I know what I'm doing because I have, this natural inclination and aptitude towards everything that I do. That person, and they show this in most animes, just doesn't appreciate his or her power. So like I said, DBZ, Goku learns a lot of really interesting attacks, going from his Kaioken ability, which allows him to become physically stronger. He hits all the Super Saiyans before Vegeta is able to, and that includes, in the new one, the Super Saiyan God mode that they have, which is a really, really awesome ability, and I liked how they've added that in the show. He learns, things like the Spirit Bomb, the Kamehameha. He learns instant transmission, which before, I think Frieza was the only one that could do that, and then Cell gets it because Cell was made with some of the same cells and genes as Goku was. And that's just that's one of those things that just shows how awesome it is that Goku is stronger because he has to work and appreciates and has to think outside the box and become creative whenever he's learning a new technique or fighting. And then I also said Naruto was another one that was a lot of talent, natural talent, versus having to work hard and improve it. And I think Naruto does a really good job with that, because I think it's two characters that I really know of that have this dynamic. One is Naruto, the main character. He has to learn how to do everything, and he's not as good. I died. He's not as good as everybody else that he is going to school with to be a ninja. And the other one is Sasuke Uchiha, whose brother is Itachi Uchiha, and they're both part of the same clan, and they have this ninjutsu, I think is actually what it's called, that is only unique, that gets unique solely to their clan. And it it's called the Sharingan, and it lets them, like, their eyes allow them to do some really cool things. Like, one is like teleports them to another world. The other one is like they can see and like almost read their opponent's mind, and they can Kakashi Sensei gets this, and his allows him to like just copy anybody else's abilities even before they've finished it, and it's really, really awesome to like when he does that, and you get to see that in one of the early like arcs of the storyline and of what's going on. So that's really cool. So now Sasuke, in the middle of a battle, like learns how to bring out his Sharingan, where his brother still had to learn, but he just had a natural ability at an aptitude and being able to use his, and he was able to like develop new techniques and stuff for it because he was just so good with it, and didn't really have to work as hard. Whereas Sasuke goes out and has to train every day and do some pretty intense stuff in order just to make him better at things like that. And then there's Naruto, who of course is the main character, and I'm not very far in the series. Like, I stopped watching it after a while. Holy shit, they just got loud. I stopped watching it after a while, but he goes out and in the beginning, like, the first thing he does is learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu, where he pretty much goes out and sits in the woods, reads this scroll of highly advanced techniques, and practices so hard at just one of them that he pretty much masters it. Later on, though, he's taught an extremely advanced technique by Jiraiya, who is who's like a ninja sage. So he's just a master at using all of his like all of the ninjutsus and things like that allow him to use pretty much ninja magic, I guess is the best way to put it for anyone out there who's watching this has no idea what the hell I'm talking about. And he teaches them this ability called the Rasengan. Now, if you're familiar with Naruto in the universe, they have what's called chakra, which is their life energy, and they can manifest it into certain attacks. And the Rasengan is a swirling vortex of it, for a lack of a better term to describe it, that he holds in his hand, and it requires a lot of energy. And then secondly, it also like, part of the punch is the fact that he's controlling it and focusing it in such a way that it is he's swirling it and controlling it in such a way that it adds a little bit extra force, almost like he's focus firing it. So in order to do that, he has to, one, get the energy into his hand, and then secondly, he has to spin it in a circle, that way it's focused, and the spinning motion is what gives it all of its power. Kind of like how if like you swing a yo-yo, you know, really, really fast, that thing gets going a lot faster, and like the hardest hitting part of the baseball bat is further towards the edge, even though there's still a hollow sweet spot, but that's the part that's going to feel the most force because of it's going to get the most power because of its centrifugal force. Well, he can get the chakra into his hand, but his issue is the swirling motion. He has a huge problem with that. So what he does is he has this ability to make shadow clones of himself, which are solid figures, and he sits there and summons all the energy to his hand, and in order to actually get the swirling motion, he has them focus some of the chakra he gives them, and they direct the energy in his hand. That way all he has to do is sustain it, and they help him swirl it and focus it and give it that centrifugal force, because it's a highly advanced technique and it's going to take him a long time to learn, but it's still the most powerful technique he has. So when he needs to use it, he has a way to do it, and it's because he's had to work so hard and he doesn't have this innate skill. He has a lot of energy and he's got a lot of aptitude and, like, you know, the drive, I guess is the best way to put it, in order to become better. But he doesn't have... I'm so sorry about that, guys. My microphone fell. I just had a huge, like... I hope that doesn't get cut in there. I'll cut that out. But he has... It's because he has this drive, he's not naturally talented, he has to work for it. He has to figure out another way to compensate for that. And, you know, try hard, you know, all you want. That doesn't make up for an ability. So if you can't do something, and you just because you're trying hard at it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it. But he figures out a way around it until later on in the show when he has a better hang of the attack and he no longer needs it. And it's not like, you can call it a crutch, but it's not somebody else telling him how to do this. This is him coming up with this idea on his own and using what he knows and figuring out a way to be better, instead of just like going or relying on natural talent and giving up. He has to figure out and overcome the handicaps that he has in order to be a better person and to be a better ninja. And personally, even though it's been overdone and it's in a lot of animes, I'm hoping that, you know, I enjoyed it in this one. I enjoy that trope, and it's always really cool to see a character like that, because their character development, even though you know how it's pretty much going to go, it's still better to watch that than to watch, if you just watch an anime where someone's like, oh, hey, I'm awesome all the time. So I'm going to cut this one here, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I'm sorry for those couple really big flubs. Maybe it'll be in another, you know, I keep on saying I'm going to do like a fail. I need to do a fail montage. We are built to fail, so maybe there'll be a fail edition one day. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And as always, guys, keep it weird out there.